This is G1f, and we're going to focus on the terms in this one that are in bold. Explain the role of definitions, undefined terms, postulates or axioms, and theorems. So we're going to talk about, first of all, what those things are, and we're going to talk about what their role is in geometry. First term we're going to talk about is definitions. And in geometry, we begin by working with definitions. We define a lot of terms, and what we need to stress is details. Alright, details and the fact that every word you use in a definition matters. It very much matters, every single word choice that you use in those definitions. Take a look at this definition for the word midpoint. There's a great pattern or a template that you can follow for definitions. You want to say first what something is, and then afterwards you want to say how is it different from other things that are the same. For instance, midpoint is a point. That's saying what it is. Well, how is it different from other points? Well, it's on a line segment, and it divides the segment into two equal parts. So those are the two basic parts of the definition. What should you always do after this? You should always look for a counterexample. If you find a counterexample to this, then that means you need to change your definition. The next topic to cover is undefined terms. The idea in geometry is that we build up a vocabulary of words by using words we've previously defined. In my last definition, I said that a midpoint is a point on a line, and notice I used the word line in my definition. That would mean that in my system, in my geometry, I would have to define the word line before I could define midpoint. You have to build on it. There's a problem with that, though, and the problem is that you need a starting point. You need a place to begin, because it's impossible to include things you've previously defined if you have never defined anything. So we have these three undefined terms that we just start studying geometry with. It's point, line, and plane. Those are the three basic building blocks of geometry. We take those building blocks and we build all of our definitions from there. Next we have postulates. Postulates are things that everyone accepts is true. Just for a real simple example, we have this line segment down here, and in this line segment we might say that the length of segment AB is congruent to the length of segment BA. Sounds simple, but really they're the same segment, and no one is going to argue with you and say no, BA is longer than AB or shorter than AB. That just doesn't make any sense. So there are many different postulates, and it depends on what exactly maybe reference book or a textbook you use to study, but your postulates are all of your things that people always accept as without any reasons to be true. Lastly, we have theorems, and the idea behind a theorem is that in geometry we are using deductive reasoning. And when we use deductive reasoning, that means that we are employing a method called a proof. So in geometry, we do a lot of proofs. In those proofs, you work towards a destination, something that you would prove to be true, and you will find it at the end of the proof. And when you prove that's true, that means no one can argue with it. That means that your deductive reasoning is so great that whoever would look through your proof would say, yes, this is always true. that result of deductive reasoning, that's called a theorem. Lastly comes up the question of what is the role? What is the role of all of these definitions, terms, postulates, and theorems? So in geometry, you will find that we do a lot of deductive reasoning. All right, you do a ton of deductive reasoning. That's kind of the big idea of geometry is to make you become better at this logical process of thinking through how you prove something is true. And when you do that, that's where these items come into play. That's where these are key. I'm just going to close by saying when you do a proof in geometry, where do you get those reasons from? Those reasons for your proof, they come from your definitions, your undefined terms, your postulates, and your theorems. So, without those things, the whole process of deductive reasoning and proofs could not happen. That's what the role of these things are.